Hey, how's it going? Mike from LI Flies Mike, and as always, the full list of materials will be down in the description below. Today we're going to be using the Gamakatsu SL12S in size 1/0, but any sort of standard saltwater hook that is somewhat shorter in length will work for this fly. Now today we're going to be tying a fly that I like to use early in the springtime. Normally I like fishing with larger flies, but if I'm trying to scale it down and imitate a lot of the early time spring bait like spearing or silver sides, then this is a great pattern. And today we're going to be tying a 3 feather flatwing, a very simple variation on Kenny Abrams flatwing flies. So getting started with some bucktail here, just tying this in as some slight support to help prevent the hackle from fouling. And then we're going to take some thin white saddle hackle here. Now you don't necessarily have to use quote unquote flatwing hackle. I'm just going to be using some thin hackle. These are what I would consider like flatwing patches. They're a little bit thicker than your dry fly hackle, but they're much thinner than the Chinese saddle hackle. And what we're going to do is take this and tie this in flat. This is the whole idea behind the flatwing. It's going to give us some great movement in the water because the curve of the feather is facing down and the water is going to be flowing through it. So next we're going to be layering some different Flashabou colors in between of our saddle hackles. So I'm going to take some pearl Flashabou and just fold this and tie this on here. Then taking some light pink saddle hackle here. Now of course you could use yellow, you could use all sorts of colors. I like using pink a lot of times as the in-between color between the light and the dark. And tying this in flat just like we did with our last feather. And then taking some pink Flashabou here. Again, you could use just the same color Flashabou or just tie it in at the end. But it's kind of fun to layer in some different colors of Flashabou as we move along. So you could see here a olive flatwing patch, if you will. These are some of the pastel patches that you can get from Hairline, and I got these at a local fly shop. So we're just going to take off a flatwing hackle here. Something else I wanted to note is that I've been slowly just increasing the length of the feathers ever so slightly as we go, so we get some additional movement. Last but not least, we're going to take some olive Flashabou here and tie this on top. And then we could go ahead and get ready to start tying in the body. So in my opinion, something that's needed in every flatwing fly is some Bill's body braid, the original flat diamond braid that Kenny Abrams used to use all the time. So we're going to take this, tie this in here, and after applying a little bit of super glue just to ensure it's going to be durable, we're going to wrap it forward here and leave ourselves some room. Normally I would tie this more forward and I would just do one tie. We're going to do 2 ties of bucktail here just to help kind of build up a little bit of a larger profile. What you'll find early on in the season is they're spearing that are generally quite larger because they haven't started spawning yet, and they can start even spawning sometimes as early as March. But you'll find the spearing to generally be anywhere from about 2 inches to even sometimes 3.5 inches when you start getting the larger spawning size spearing in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some bucktail here and we're going to throw in some white bucktail for the throat. And again, try and be very minimal. The idea is you want to see through the bucktail. You want it to be transparent. You see how we could see the dark background through it? That's something that's important. Too much bucktail and the fly is not going to swim properly. And just like layering with the pink hackle, we're going to take some pink bucktail and tie this on top here. Just kind of help give us a nice transition in the colors. So now we can move forward here. We can tie in our last collar of bucktail, tying some white on the throat here. I like having a nice prominent white throat on a silver side fly because if you look at them, the silver sides are quite light in color overall. So the white and pink is going to give us a nice contrast here. If you haven't checked out Striper Moon by Kenny Abrams or A Perfect Fish, they're fantastic books when it comes to learning about fly tying, and even more so when it comes to how to fly fish for striped bass in a completely new way. When it comes to swinging flies for striped bass and just kind of reimagining everything when it comes to, especially how I learned how to fly fish for striped bass in the early days. Last but not least, we're going to take some olive bucktail here. Now you can use some light olive bucktail. I'm choosing to use some darker olive bucktail here just for a little bit more contrast in the color. And you can see here we need a little bit more bucktail on top just to even it out. Again, I'm trying to keep it pretty sparse. Generally I would tie my flatwings a little bit sparser than this. But this is a fly that I'm going to be casting and stripping as opposed to swinging. This is a fly that I'm fishing as almost like a searching fly. So I do want it to be able to push a little bit of water to catch that fish's lateral line and get that fish's attention in some murky water during the springtime. While I do swing flies, my local area that I fish, particularly very close to where I live, there's not a lot of current, so I do a lot of essentially just blind casting and stripping. So after getting the olive bucktail where I like it, I'm just going to take some Peacock Herl here and just finish this off. The Peacock Herl will add some nice iridescent color to the top here. One thing to note is to try and have the Peacock Herl naturally face downwards. You can see how it has a natural curvature to it. So I took one of the Peacock Herls here and fixed it after it was facing the wrong way, just to show you how the natural curve comes into play. So we can go ahead and throw a whip finish in here now that we're ready to finish the fly. And now normally what I would do is I would just fish this fly the way it is. I wouldn't even put eyes on it. But something that I'm doing for the video and something I do for shops is I usually put eyes on there for the customers. And if I feel like it, I'll put eyes on there as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some stick-on eyes. Obviously, if you had the traditional jungle cock, you could use that. It's a very expensive feather. The nails themselves are quite expensive. So there's nothing wrong with using some stick-on eyes and applying a UV resin head. We're just going to take a small amount of UV resin here, and we're just going to, I like to just go straight out of the bottle and use the bottle as the applicator here, and just slowly work that resin around to where it's just touching the backside of the eye so the eye is fully covered in the UV resin. Here I'm going to do one coat, but I always try to err on the side of caution, so if you're not as comfortable applying the UV resin head, then do one light coat and then do another after. It's better to have a smaller head, in my opinion, a lighter coat, than have a giant UV resin head. And a little tip here is if you want a particular shape or profile and the bucktail is flaring out, you can grab and pull that hair back, then hit it with the light and it'll be secured to where you like it. So just taking our light here and rotating the fly around so that it doesn't heat up too much. After about 15 to 20 seconds or so of moving the fly around and getting equal coverage with the light, the fly is done. So there we go, the 3-feathered spearing flatwing, a very simple fly. I've been tying variations of flatwings like this for a long time now, and something I usually fish in the springtime when I'm looking to try and match the hatch a little bit more, as opposed to fish with the larger searching flies. And again, you can tie these much sparser, but I do find quite large spearing in my back bays after doing some commercial spearing fishing as well. I was surprised at some of the size of the spearing. They look quite small in the water when you actually get them in a net in your hand. It's pretty much due to the fact that they're transparent, so I just added a little bit more hair here. But again, in the water here, you can see the fly is transparent. It's important to not use too much bucktail. You want the fly to have that transparency to it that really helps sell the imitation of the silver sider spearing. And in the swim tank here, we have our flatwing tail, which provides us with all that action. If you tie these hackle horizontally, they would not have the same sort of action. They would have great action because they're nice thin hackle, but that's one of the reasons why I love a flatwing tail so much. Well, there we go, the 3-feathered flatwing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is a simple fly that you can take out this spring and go try and catch some striped bass out in the back bays or in the creeks, whether it be stripping or trying to swing it as well. Well, thank you so much. My name is Mike from LI Flies Mike. I apologize, we had a short little break. I've been so busy with tying roosterfish flies as it's that time of year, as well as working on some other things in the background. So we have a new springtime video that we're going to be working on as a little refresher video, but if you haven't, make sure to go check out our video from last year, a comprehensive guide for fly fishing for striped bass in the springtime, covering just about every sort of situation that you can come across during the spring. Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to our YouTube and Twitch members. The support means a lot. I couldn't do it without you folks. Well, my name is Mike from LI Flies Mike. Have a great start to your season out there this year. I'm going fishing myself. Haven't caught a bass yet, but hopefully soon. And we have another video planned here for the near future. Well, till next time, tight lines.